Hi everyone. Now, I get my experience from life like everybody else. We learn things as we go on. And I've learnt a lot about toxic behaviour, the patterns, the tactics, and all sorts of things. And I get sort of triggered by seeing other people go through this. Somebody's contacted me today and told me about a couple that they know, and it's actually quite horrible to witness somebody that you know being manipulated and abused in such a way. It's like a friendship, and there's it's three people altogether. There's a friendship, and then there's a couple. So a couple and a friend. They're all friends. So one of the partners has gone off to a funeral. Now this is the perfect opportunity for a toxic person to just get a bit more control, because their partner is in a vulnerable frame of mind, somebody that they know. I won't tell all the story, but I'll just tell the circumstances. Somebody's committed suicide. So a friend has gone to his friend's funeral. He's gone to grieve. And he's only young, 20s. It's this area, it's this part where we're in, St Helens has got the highest suicide rate in England, or it did do a while ago. I'm not quite sure if it was actually St Helens, but it's in the area within, about 10-15 mile radius, whatever, it's maybe a little bit further, but that's about it. It's still that community. And it is a tragedy that another young lad has taken his life. Such an early age, and you got to think, why? And I know some of it. I know the reason for some of it, and I can see it beginning in a young couple's life. The way that his partner's trying to manipulate him at his most vulnerable times, and trying to twist the narrative that he's actually being selfish for grieving. I don't know the full story, but from what I can tell, from what I know that I've read some screenshots and things, so I know sort of the situation, and I can sort of gather what might have happened before. So just a basic thing really, by the way it was worded, it was like that they'd agreed for him to not go to the wake, just go to the funeral. Now, I don't know if you've been to a funeral, especially of a close friend or close family member. I mean, I've not been to many at all. Some have been close and others haven't, so I've experienced it on both sides. When you're that young and under the circumstances of your friend taking their own life, you start to look at your own mortality, where you are, And especially if you're in an abusive relationship, you start thinking, is this my way out? Is this could happen to me, But because everybody keeps everything quiet and we don't talk about being abused at home, especially by your girlfriend, or your fiance, or your wife, or your mother, or your sister, or your female boss, or, work colleague, or whatever, men tend to keep it quiet, that it's going on, and they take it all in on themselves. And then they've got society to deal with as well. And it's just too much for them to take, I've been in that situation myself, having the toxic people around me that was contributing to my illness. Developing it for starters, and then, keeping it going. But this is what toxic people do. They will pick the most horriblest, lowest point that you're at to try and gain control. And they'll do it in the most horriblest ways. Because it twists your reality of what everything is, You start questioning your own thoughts, your own abilities, your own reality. Is this true, And it is, it's just the simplest of things, You can't make decisions for yourself because you're so confused, because you don't know right from wrong, You think you've done right, you think you've been in the right situation, you've done everything that a normal person would have done. But somebody is telling you that you've done the complete opposite. When you're grieving for somebody and you go to the funeral, especially the young lads, they're all going to be there. They're all going to be wanting to support each other. It's a devastating thing, to grasp that one of your mates is gone. You expect to grow old with them. You don't expect them to take their own life. So it's a shock. It's just as shock as it is that somebody died, but under the circumstances, it makes it even more not right. Something wrong with you start going into society and the world and the universe, and your head spirals off into all sorts of negative thoughts. I can't put myself back in there now. I'm trying to, and I just can't. I just can't think of all those negative thoughts that I used to think of. I used to be able to spin them off as they was coming up, but they're not coming up anymore. That's mad. That really is. I love seeing that. Just goes to show healing works and staying away from negative people works. But yeah. When you're low, it's the opportune moment for them to step up the abuse very quickly, because they know it works. And they will start by blaming you for doing something wrong. This lad's decided to go to the wake after, obviously. He needs support. They all need support. So they're all supporting each other. Yeah, let's go and have a drink. And in that environment, a load of lads together, yeah, go on, we've got to celebrate his life, You can imagine the scenario. So, yeah, he might have made arrangements to come back straight after, even though, under the situation and what I know, that would have been what she wanted him to do. It wouldn't have been what he would have wanted to do. So he would have given in to her demands straight away. Okay, right, alright, fair enough. I'll come back. I mean, at the time, they had a sick animal. And that was actually used as a means of emotional blackmail. And a way to push blame for her wanting him to come home, for not living up to his promises, not living up to her demands, more like, and she used the fact that the animal was sick as a way to manipulate him to come home. And then she made it about herself. And that's the thing, she starts off with this poor animal, you don't love this animal, you said you did, you don't care, blah, blah, blah. All the nasty little put downs, and to make you feel even worse than what you do in that very vulnerable state of grief. And as she gets more agitated, the accusations get worse. But instead of putting the cat or the animal, the pet, whatever, in first, that was her first argument. You don't love the cat. But then it turns, but you don't love me and the cat. So then you can see the narrative changing. It wasn't about the cat. It was about her. She's pissed off. It's not that the fact that the cat's ill, that he should come home, just in case he dies there and then. It's the fact that he's not come home when he said, or when she said that he should do. He's veered off from her control. He's doing his own thing. How dare he? I'll have to. Get him back. How can I get him back? I don't know the full relationship. I'm sort of gathering that this has been the narrative for a long time. It's a usual pattern of behaviour, and as these people are, it is a usual pattern of behaviour. You can predict exactly what's going on. And it's the same for each toxic person. The steps of starting off the abuse to gain control. It's a pattern that's in a lot of people. A lot of toxic people. You can, yeah, alright, they're going to do this next. And they do it, It might not be the same words, but it's the same context of what they're trying to do, The making you feel so terrible about yourself, blackmailing you with your emotions, twisting just the reality of stuff. And the thing is the more that they go on, the more that they lose control of the brain and the mouth, or the fingers, or whatever inside them, and they slip up. And she's going on ripping into him, and obviously he's not replying. He's doing other stuff, even if he's looking at the phone, I'd be the same. I'd be looking at the phone and just fucking sticking it back and I can't be dealing with this right now, He was within his rights to, she was invading his grieving space, bombarding him with abuse, slowly getting worse and worse. And I can't remember and then, obviously it escalates from attacks to his personality, his character, attacks to his character and what reality is. And because he's not replying, she gives him the ultimatum. That's it, I've had enough. You can fuck off. Bye. I'm not getting a reaction out of you, so I shall punish you even more and tell you that I'm not having this anymore. I'm not putting up with it. And he replies back, obviously. And I'm glad to say that he stood up for himself. He saw exactly what she was doing and how out of order it was, how disgusting it was, how unempathetic it was, how toxic it was, how manipulative it was, how just wrong it was for the situation, and just how wrong she got the narrative. And obviously just kicked off with a reply. And obviously it's blame again, blame. You said this, blah, 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 blah. You agreed to this, blah, 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 blah. You oh, the cat, me. And, you know, she even, this is how I know that it's been happening before. She even says that you can't blame me for trying to manipulate you. Because it's what I'm doing. You know, she's saying that you can't blame me for manipulating you. I'm not manipulating you. But you can't blame me for manipulating you. Because I am manipulating you. You know, she is actually admitting what she's doing as she's ranting on. You know, her fingers in her mouth are working faster than what her brain can think. And this is how you have to pay attention to toxic people, because they will tell you what they're doing. And it's not the fact that this lad doesn't love the cat. It's actually her admitting that she doesn't love the cat and that she's using it as a tool to manipulate. Just because the cat is in the narrative and she's using its illness and the bond, the love bond, all the emotions, she's using all those, all the caring, loving, you're supposed to be this, that, and she's twisting it. Because she knows that he is a loving, caring, nice bloke. He's an empath, he's lovely. And she's trying to tell him that he's her, that he's doing what she does, and that he's doing it to her, but admitting that she's actually doing it to him. You can see why people get confused. But yeah, you get the little mistakes. And you can always turn around the narrative when they're accusing you of stuff that you know that the hell you haven't done, and it's not you. Who they're describing back at you is not you. Who they're describing to you is them, what they're trying to do to you, or what they have done to you, or this is how I'm going to manipulate you. I'm going to use this to tug on your heartstrings. I'm going to guilt trip you. I'm going to play the victim. I'm going to use something else as the victim so I can play the victim until you give in to my demands. And if you don't, it's over. But it's not over, because I'm not going to go. I'm not going to let you go. It's just a scare tactic. So you go, oh no, I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. You know, and you start trying to make up for something that you haven't done. That's the thing. You're trying to fix something that you haven't broken. And it really does fuck your head up the longer that you're in that situation, to the point where you just want to top yourself to end it all. And I do believe that this is a big problem in this area, because the people around here, a lot of the women around here, young girls, as they're growing up, and it's a generational thing, really. from the mining era. Obviously tough. Men had to be tough, women had to be even tougher, like, you know. And it's kept on. It's been passed on to the next generations. And it's just the norm around here. The girls and the women can be fucking bitches and horrible, nasty, evil, fucking... seriously. You know, I mean, some of the lads aren't that great either, you know, but there are the good people, and they get preyed on like fuck. They get taken advantage of, and it's horrible. I see it every day. I see it through the schools. I see it on the streets. I see it as, you know, I've been here for since 2005. So I've seen it, my daughter grow up in this environment, and I've seen other kids grow up in this environment, you know. I've watched, I'm an observer. I take it all in, what's going on. You know, I listen. I pick up on patterns. And there is a nasty, toxic pattern within the families. It's been taught to the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. And because people that are empaths don't know what to do, there's no support up here for lads, not at all. You know, if you're a girl, you know, you can get yourself pregnant and you get all the help you want, really. For a lad, there's fuck all there, absolutely nothing for them. So, you know, they find the first partner that they can. And because they've been brought up in toxic relationships, they think it's love and that they should put up with it, you know. Obviously the toxic lads don't, you know, they don't care. It's the more sensitive ones, the empaths, the people that have got emotions, that know right from wrong. They know how to feel other people's pain. And they want to make people feel better because of it. And they get preyed on a hell of a lot up here. Well, all around the world, really. It's not just up here, but it seems to be, well, it was a national average that we was the highest for young male suicides. But yeah, I can understand why. There's no prospects for them up around here at all, really. Jobs, not very good, you know. What options do they have as a single lad, you know, when they leave school? Settle down and have a family, alright, you know. And it's just a toxic pattern again. You know, there is people that have abilities, very intelligent, very capable, you know, that could go so far, but because they've not got the right encouragement there, a lot of them just end up fading away. And the unlucky ones, but the bravest, they take their own lives. Because it takes a fucking hell of a lot of guts to take your life. And believe me, I know a lot of people think it's selfish. But what's more selfish is to let people live a life up until they feel the need to kill themselves to stop the pain. That is the most evilest thing that we can do, you know? Stand back and just let people kill themselves because of all the trauma that other people are putting them through, and there's nobody there to fucking help them. It's an absolute disgrace. And this is why I'm so passionate about this. Because it is the fact that other people have damaged somebody's brain to the point of thinking they've got no other choice to end the pain and to end their life. To me, that is murder, you know? If there's somebody in your life that's willing every single minute of the day to take you down that road, then that's, to me, is premeditated murder. They've planned what they're going to do to you. They know what they want out of you, and they know what they do to you when they don't get it. And by doing so, they know the damage that they're causing. They know that you're not the same person that they first got with. They know that you're a shell of yourself, that you don't know up from down, that you do anything to make things right in a relationship because you love somebody and you think that they love you, but they don't. And I'm not just saying in a relationship with families, sisters, brothers, friends. You know, it's the whole package. It's not just having a relationship, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, 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 you know, boyfriend, boyfriend, whatever, you know, partner. It goes around everywhere. You know, you have toxic people in every single setting, every single job. And they all do their damage in one way or another. Whether it's stepping on somebody else to get to the top, whether it's using everybody below you to get what you want, to keep you at the top, whether it's just out of pure evil and you just want to cause people harm, you know, and it's such a big scale of different it's all across society, isn't it? It's just too big to put into words how much toxic personalities are actually damaging our reality, inside our heads and outside on the planet, everywhere. I mean, it's clicked in my head, light bulb, you know, oh yeah, ding, yeah. I know the reasons why we're in such a bad economy. You know, the planet's in such a state of poverty, war, crime, greed. You know, I know why. It's because the toxic bastards at the top are the ones that are controlling us victims. We're all victims under governments, monarchies and things like that. The structure, it's outdated, it's old, it's generations of toxic beliefs or just no understanding whatsoever of the damage people can cause. And it just needs to change. I do believe that taking toxic people out of jobs at the top, I know, yeah, they're go-getters, they're good for, you know, bringing in the money, but that's it. As far as everything else, the morals, no, they haven't got morals. You know, the empathy to look after a nation of people, to make the decisions for a nation of people. You need empathy. How can you relate to them, for starters? How can you make decisions based on their best interests if you have no idea how to relate to their best interests? How to relate to their needs? How to relate to, you know, an 80-year-old that's dying in the house freezing cold because they can't afford to heat their home, or stuck in a care home that's charging them 1,000 times more than me living in my flat, you know, for one room, meals a day, some care, you know, having to pay for end of life treatment after paying the taxes for so long, for providing for their country and themselves, you know, and it all gets taken away from them. They're not going to need it. They're going to die soon, aren't they? We'll just see what we can get out of it, shall we? Drain as much as we can before they go, because we're not going to get it after they've gone. It all goes to the family then and pay them back what they owe. Now let's get as much out of them as we possibly can. You know, and it's the same thing with the COVID. You know, we had Boris Johnson. He didn't give a shit. You know, he only started giving a shit when the shit hit the fan. When lots of people started dying, you know. But to be honest, they saved a lot of money out of that. All those people, especially the elderly, that would have been having their pensions paid, poorly, so, you know, paying out for medications and treatments and surgeries and things like that, you know, deteriorating people, overpopulated with older people as well, you know, the vulnerable as well. It wasn't just the old, it was the vulnerable and sick, most likely on benefits. Yeah, all those people gone, all that money not been paid out, kept, because there's nobody there to claim it anymore. All these people that didn't have families that have died, you know, that all goes back. It doesn't go to them, it doesn't go to anybody else, does it? It goes back to the government, it goes back to the state, raking it in. So, you know, yeah, okay, let's hold back a bit, you know, we don't have to rush in, let's just let a few die off first, you know, balance out the scales a bit, you know, we'll get some more money back. Just think of all that we'll save. But we're still in debt, we're still having to work more hours, we're still having to pay more tax. The cost of living is going up and up and up and up and up. Oh, we're getting little sort of like snippets back. You know, it's the toxic partner that's holding the purse strings. Oh, you know, we haven't got this much money anymore, you know, we're going to have to tighten the purse strings, as they say. Well, that's what my husband used to say. Oh, it's going to be a tough winter this winter, I've not earned enough through the summer. We're going to have to tighten our purse strings. So yeah, okay, fair enough. So, you know, you start questioning where certain things are going, because, alright, well, we're not seeing the benefit from it, alright, we said we've got this money left, but we've not got enough to put gas and electric on, we've not got enough to get much food. Where's the rest of it gone? And what my ex-husband used to do, because I'd be asking, you know, why can't we go shopping? We haven't been shopping for months, we've got nothing left in the fridge or the cupboard, you know, I'm scraping on whatever I can conjure up out of nothing. And it would be, we'll go shopping, you know, and it would be, fill the cupboards, a big shop. I mean, it'd only be like Aldi or Lidl, which is a cheap shop compared to the bigger stores, the more known brand name markets or whatever, you know, the oldest ones that have been going on. So it was a lot cheaper. We could fill the cupboards, the fridge and the freezer for about between £30 and £40. And then that'd be it. Now, I could see the government doing that at the moment, you know. We're getting worried how we're going to feed ourselves and heat through the winter. And the government's like, we've not got much money around, so we're going to have to start switching things off and you know, doing less and putting more clothes on and, you know, take it for the nation, you bear down and yeah, start making changes. Well, they're all sat at home, heating on full, drinking whatever they are, you know, you know, their wages is just ridiculous, fucking ridiculous. But expecting us to take the rap. But you know, you start asking, well, as a society, where's the money going? Where's it going? And they're like, oh, this is going up, this is going up, the cost of this is going up, you know, energy's more and more and more. But I tell you what we'll do. Instead of explaining exactly where it's all going, instead of showing you and having to prove it, transparency, which is what we're supposed to have, we're going to pocket a lot of money and we're going to give a little bit back to you. So you go, oh, the government's giving us some free money. How nice of them, you know. I've now got £90 to put on my electric bill, but my gas bill has now gone from, what, in this flat it was like £15-20 a week through the winter, to, what am I on now? I think I'm on about £40 a week. Well, no, sorry, every 2 weeks, that was it, every 2 weeks. 15, it's like £5 during the summer, because obviously I'm just having baths and cooking. But when winter comes, you know, heating's on, and it's England, it's fucking cold. And where I live, the windows are shit, so, you know, there's drafts everywhere, you can't keep the flat warm. Sometimes you can't even heat it, you know. I'll have my heating on and it won't go past 17 degrees, just because of all the drafts. But yeah, they try and distract you by giving you money, so you stop asking questions. But they're still taking, and you're the one that's suffering. You're the one that's going without. You're the one that's not having your your needs met even. You're not the one that's, you're the one that's in poverty, you know, not being able to get the help that you need if you're poorly, or, you know, you've been ignored. Being put into a state of mental illness on purpose, to keep you there, to keep you trapped, so they can manipulate you, keep you at your lowest point, keep you vulnerable, so they can manipulate you and blame you, make you feel guilty for what they're doing to you. They're telling you that, you know, oh, all this debt is your fault, you're the one that's borrowed all this money, and blah blah. No, it's their fault. They've stolen all this money. They've given themselves pay rise after pay rise, perk after perk, and not even do the job, and not have to stand accountable for it, you know? Don't have to be accountable for any of it. I mean, when it comes to domestic violence, it's against the law in this country, prison sentence. You know, and I don't think a lot of people are aware of that, because it's only come into force over the last few years. So you don't really see much when it comes to that, you know. They try and keep domestic violence a bit hush-hush still, you know. Toxic behaviour especially, because, you know, if we tell the masses about toxic behaviour, they'll recognise it in us, you know. And it's only the abused that can actually recognise it in others. You know, the toxic patterns, the toxic behaviour. And a lot of people are oblivious to it because they've been taught to recognise it as normal behaviour, and that they're the problem. When it's the complete opposite, you know. They're not the problem at all. They're probably the solution, you know, if they was allowed to be. If they was allowed to grow and, you know, and evolve and go out and be themselves. But, you know, toxic people don't want that. They want control over you constantly, 24/7, you know, and full control. When I say jump, you say how high? Not, no, sorry, I can't do that. And if you do say no, I can't do that, you'll get punished. I'll make sure that you're punished. And if I can't do it today, I'll just sit down and stew and plot my revenge until I can do it, you know? This is how their brain works. It's not right. It's not good. It's not nurturing. And it's destroying a lot of people's lives in all different aspects. Anyway, I've waffled on now for 40 minutes. Yes, I get very passionate about this subject because I've lived it. I know the harm it does, and it's disgusting. It really is. And it needs to stop. And the only way that it can stop is by people that have been abused in the same situation sharing their stories. Sharing that it's not right. That how you're being treated is wrong, is escapable. You can walk away. You don't have to stay like that. You don't have to stay in those relationships. And because you're an empath, I know you have emotions. You are attached by love, by hope, by want, by need. And it's difficult to let go. It really is. And it's difficult to not see it as it is. It's difficult not to see you as a problem. Oh, it's not a problem. I confuse myself now, yeah. I must be getting tired. I was trying to lead on to something and I just completely forgot. That was it. It's hard not to take it personally when a toxic person is manipulating you and abusing you in the way that they do. But you can't take it personally because it wouldn't matter if it was you or the person down the road or that person there or me or, you know, whoever. They do the same to them too. So it's not your fault that things are so fucked up. You're not to blame. It's just how they act with everyone. They treat everyone the same way. And when you realise that, all that doubt of who you are and who they've said you are, it all goes away, you know. You start believing in yourself again because you know that what they're doing to you and what they're saying, what they're lying about, how they're twisting things, it's not because you've done all these things wrong. They're just using you, your experiences and who you are as a person, as ammunition against yourself. They basically steal your identity and give you theirs and tell you that's reality and love, just to hide what they're doing, you know, just so they can get what they want. And once you've walked away, they'll just go and do it to somebody else that's as easily manipulated as you are, you know. And if they can't find that person, they'll try and hoover you back in. You know, they like to have a supply wherever they go. And if they can't get one, they become lonely people. Like my mum. She's got very little supply now. I think the only supply that she does get is online. It seems to be enough for her, really. But she's going to die a very lonely old woman, you know. And it's sad, it really is, that somebody's brain can get to that stage where they don't see what they're doing. And that's the thing. This is why we can't have toxic people in power or be around toxic people, because a lot of them can't see what they're doing. Some of them can and know exactly what they're doing. They're dangerous ones. But yeah, some of them can't see what they're doing at all, you know. They can't see the pain that they cause. They can't see their behaviour as wrong. It's how they've developed. It's just how the brains have developed. I don't know if it's possible to fix. I don't know. I know your brain grows and changes. Mine's fixed. Maybe not all the way yet, but yeah. It's definitely working a hell of a lot better than it was. But yeah, probably the best it's worked in all my life, really. But things need to change. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out. I mean, I'd love to go into full detail through the conversation and show you exactly why something's been said, what for and what reaction. And you can see it play out. It is like tarot cards. You can predict what's coming up just by the series of events that's coming up, you know. When you know people that well, yeah. But yeah, I do hope that if anybody recognises this sort of behaviour in anybody that's close to them, you know, the decision's up to you at the end of the day about what you do, you know, if you stay or if you leave. But if you stay and they don't recognise what they're doing, it's just going to get worse. With the same situations, same cycles, over and over again. And it's if you think that your brain can cope with that. I know mine couldn't, and I know that there's a hell of a lot of other people that can't cope with it. Or do you decide to block that person completely? You have to detach yourself, because they're the abuser and you're the victim. The only way to stop these sorts of abusers is to take the victim away, like you would if it was a child. You know, if it was a mother that was being abusive to the child, you'd take the child away and never let the mother have any contact with the child again, would you? What's the difference with an adult? You know, we still have an emotional response. We've still been abused. We've still been manipulated, coerced, brainwashed, you know. And we get isolated and brainwashed. And until we know a better way of thinking, the right way of thinking about the people that are around and what to do, and you're just going to stay in the same situations. And I'm just going to keep waffling on and waffling on and waffling on until you all give in. No, I'm going to stop now. I'm feeling really knackered. Yeah, I needed to get that out because it really, really fucks me off. Even more so when it's people that I know that are close to me. But you know, you can only advise. What people do is up to them at the end of the day, you know. What are you willing to live with? Or how are you willing to be? You know. Narcissists have a choice as well. There are some recovering ones, whether they can recover. I don't know, but they are putting their narcissism into something productive. Even if it's only just on the surface, it's still productive, you know. They're still, because I see them on YouTube making videos about narcissism and how they manipulate other people, you know, very informative. But I like to watch some of it, but then I see the narcissist for what it is, you know. I see just their ego. That is it. It is all ego. God complex completely. You know, should serve me, and if you don't, I'll punish you, you know. And when you do serve me, I'm going to say it's wrong, I'm going to punish you. When you make me happy, I'm going to say it's wrong, I'm going to punish you, you know. That's what it is. That's what it is. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Right, 50 minutes has come up, so I'm going to say goodbye. Good night, everyone. Bye.